Morning, everyone. Being an expert on education, I would like to welcome you all for this Indian Education Congress 3rd edition, because we at Eschanth 3 years back came in contact with Gaurav, Sachin and Ritu, and they had the passion to get into this unique platform. And they felt that as an education leader for last 70 years, being in education industry, we at Eschanth should come forward to contribute to this platform. And that's how this whole journey began. And the best thing was that for the first time, someone openly spoke about business of education. Before that, when you linked business with education, it was something which was done under closed doors and it was never appreciated. And believe me that having interactions with MHRD, with the Planning Commission, being involved with business chambers, and we ourselves as a group being involved in almost every sector of education, what we have realized is that it is high time that there should be a rethinking in terms of business of education. I moved back to India in 2006, and my passion was to get into starting an international university in the country. And I thought that a lot of work which we had done overseas could be brought to this country and we can contribute in higher education space. So we brought some of the best alliances, went to several state governments, and we said, look, we want to invest in setting up international university for higher education. Now the thing is that none of the states appreciated that what it takes to develop a university of international dimension. At the same time, if I can buy 30 to 40 acres of land, I can show 3 to 4 crores of endowment fund. I can show a library in the first year equipped with 100,000 books. I can meet some faculty-student ratios. On a structure of 40 to 50 crores, including financing, in this country, I can open a private university. Now, if you look at 600 universities in the country, how many of those universities as on today have first identified education as a serious commitment? How many of those universities as on today feel that it is just not giving a degree to those students, but also to provide that future employability, also to foster innovation, research. So education is just not a business. Before being a business, education is a cause, education is a commitment, and education is something which is required for the building of this nation. If you look at other investments in education, in private sector, they are being governed by Excel sheets, by projections, by EBITDA. And believe me, that is something which this country cannot, I would say, sustain. Those are the kind of corporate investments in education are not going to be successful in this country. And this is something which I'm just trying to highlight because in last 3 years, the education investments in the country in a corporate manner, in brick and mortar schools or brick and mortar universities, have kind of failed. If you have to invest in education, you have to understand, you have to think that what is that return which you are looking forward to. When we are talking about this country, when we are talking about the great consumer market, when we are talking about quality, we are talking about equity, what we need to realize, what we need to understand is that educational institutions, they can be built first on a basic fabric of a character. You cannot replicate the schools everywhere on the same merit. Now, if you look at it in a different perspective. Let me share two different dimensions with you. One is that there is a huge demand for a DPS franchise. Anyone who wants to invest in education in a city, the first thing he looks forward to a DPS franchise. And people would go to any level and say that if I get a DPS franchise, before even the school opens, the admission process begins. That is one model. That is one model of investment in education. Then look at those 6,500 model schools which are needed in every block of this country. That needs a different model, that needs a different commitment. So my request to all of you is that please look at these investments in education in a very different manner, because what has happened that as a country, we have made multiple investments, and most of the infrastructure which was provided for engineering colleges, 30% of that infrastructure as on today is lying unutilized. Because first of all, I thought that education is a good business opportunity, so let me go ahead and invest without knowing about education. Number two, as far as AICT is concerned, they came back and they said that, look, you have made the investment, it is a question of survival of the fittest. Now, if you look at that unutilized infrastructure in professional and higher education in this country, which came through private investment, today it is close to 3,000 crores of rupees. But nobody wants to talk about it. Not the state government wants to talk about it, not the central government wants to talk about it, and at the same time, we are being lured as on today that education is a great opportunity, let's go ahead and invest. Indian Education Congress provides you a forum where you meet with the people who would be able to share the success stories with you. You'll be able to understand the challenges. And this year we thought that let us listen from educationalists that what it takes to make an educational institution. Thank you very much.